Well, good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to you all. Thank you for being here. My name is Namita Datta, and I work at the World Bank. I head a global program at the World Bank that's called Solutions for Youth Employment. So it's wonderful to see you all. I hope that after lunch you're not all dozing off. But we look forward to an interesting discussion today. So I don't think I need to say to this audience that our environment is in jeopardy. And you know, if we just look at the amount of resources that or materials that were extracted or mobilized from the year 2000 to 2015, it's already more than half the materials that were mobilized between the year 1900 to 2000, so over 100 years. And this rate at which we are mobilizing materials and extracting materials from our environment is likely to accelerate even more. So this movement towards circularity is really critical because we need to course correct this economic development and economic growth that all our countries aspire towards. But how we do it needs to change. But when you look at the studies that have taken place and that have been conducted over the last few years on the circular economy, and we looked at about 30,000 of them, just 1.4%, so just a little over 1% of them had any mention of the word jobs or decent work or livelihoods. And just 85% of them were focused on the global north, you see. So the jobs dimension, or what this movement towards the circular economy, what it means for jobs, for livelihoods, for skills that we need to have, and overall, what it means for developing countries is quite missing from the narrative, is quite missing. And that's the question that we hope to address in this session today. And the reason why that question is important is because unless we explicitly address it and intentionally address it, we are going to go ahead and make policy decisions based on some assumptions. Assumptions that what is good for the environment is automatically good for people. Maybe, but maybe not. And just as an example that I really love to think about because it kind of puts it so starkly. So think about the electric vehicles industry, right? You may think, that's a green job. It's helping the economy move towards lowering carbon emissions, for example. That's green. But electric vehicles need batteries. Batteries need cobalt. Where is cobalt mined? It's mined in DRC, in Congo. And what's the kind of job this Congo miner is doing? It's a bad job. It's a hazardous job. It's a poor job. It's a job that doesn't pay the person enough wages. It's also very bad for that person's health. So is that a green job? No, it's not a green job. It's not a good job. It's not even a job, right? So yes, it's contributing towards the greening of the economy, but it is not something we would aspire for as humanity, right? So what we hope to do, what we should do, is to really embed explicitly the people dimension, the livelihood dimension, the jobs dimension, the skills dimension when we talk about the environment. Because it's not straightforward. That parallel of good for the environment is equal to good for people and good for jobs does not always hold true, or may not always hold true. And this cannot be an afterthought. This needs to be explicit and intentional and ex ante, like it needs to be thought of before we make decisions about policies. And in particular, I think that we really need young people around the table when we talk about this. Why? Because youth, people who are millennials today, are going to be 75% of the workforce in another year. So they're really the workforce of the future, number one. Number two, they're going to need the skills. If you're going to move towards the circular economy, you're going to need young people to have the skills to work in those circular economy sectors. But also, I really think youth are allies. They are our allies, because any number of surveys show that young people of today are actually much more concerned about the environment than people of our generation, let's say. They can be allies around the table, and they're also a source of innovation that this new world will need. So it is with this in mind that we came together. The World Bank, the program that I head, Solutions for Youth Employment, and our partners in crime are the ILO and the Circle Economy Foundation. So we joined hands, particularly with the objective of placing front and square the livelihoods, the decent work, the good jobs, and the skills agenda in the middle of the circular economy agenda, because it has to be part and parcel of that conversation. So I'll stop here, because we look forward to a really interesting panel discussion today. But before that, I want to invite my colleague, Kjeldgaard. I hope I've not butchered your name. She is Director of Sustainable Enterprises, Productivity, and Just Transition at the ILO. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Namita. Thank you. And building on what Namita has just said, if there is one message that we would also like to very much underscore today and in the discussion we will have in this event, then it is exactly that. People are and must be at the heart of the circular economy. And that doesn't matter whether they are skilled workers that are maintaining the products to prolong their lifetimes, whether it is waste pickers that are supporting themselves and also their families, or it is about the businesses and the entrepreneurs that are really launching themselves into new circular designs or business models. Because it is really the people that go to work every day that build the cleaner, the greener, and the more circular economy one step at a time that we have to focus on, as Namita also said. But the truth of the matter is indeed also that when we dig down into the specifics of the circular economy, there is still quite a bit that we do not know. And in the ILO, for example, we very conservatively estimate that the transition to a circular economy, it has the potential to create maybe 6 to 7 million jobs globally. But if we go beyond those figures and deeper, then there is actually a very, very huge transformation that will happen. And that could be that 78 million new jobs could be created. And it could also be that 72 million jobs would be lost. So that's a massive, massive transformation. We know it's coming, but we know rather little about it. We don't really know where the jobs will be lost, where they will be created, and how they will change. We see from ourselves very easily that very many circular jobs are in the informal economy, where workers and employers, they struggle to make a living and also to actually reach their own potential. We know that working conditions can be very poor, and we don't have a clear picture of what millions of workers face where they go to work each day. The cobalt mine, a perfect example of this, and there are unfortunately many more. As my good colleague Casper Edmonds, who's actually the substance behind this, and I have the pleasure of just be part of the opening, but as he keeps telling me and us in ILO, we're flying blind. And if we are flying blind, how can we actually hope to design the policies, to design the actions that will actually accelerate the transformation to the circular economy, for example? How can we actually ensure that the transition becomes fair and just, that it delivers on the promise of jobs, and enough good jobs, as Namita also said, that the circular business model actually will work. And that's also why we in the ILO, the circular economy, and with the World Bank have created indeed this new initiative to measure, to model, and also to monitor the jobs in the circular economy. And last year we published a report entitled Decent Work in the Circular Economy, and that gives an overview of the existing evidence base. This year we will produce also and launch the comparative review of definitions, databases and methodologies to measure, model and monitor jobs in the circular economy. And next year, maybe, we hope to also launch the world's first authoritative estimates of jobs in the circular economy. All parts of the steps of this important journey. And we continue to look forward to how we can discuss all of this with you in every World Circular Economy Forum that will take place. And it's through this concrete ways of working together, making concrete steps to develop the tools and the knowledge that we all need to ensure that the just transition is actually delivering the circular economy that works for us all, that it will happen. And it is the people, indeed, that we need to have the focus on. And again, I reiterate what Namita also said. It is people and economies, the circular economy, it needs to work for the people. And that's also very clear in the discussions that will follow, that it's people at the core of this. It is the people we will hear later on representing the businesses, the trade unions, the policymakers, and the youth entrepreneurs that actually will really make our world more and more circular. And in the ILO, we are very pleased, and it's also our responsibility and our good luck, it's our role to support the workers, the employers, the policymakers, and all stakeholders to accelerate the circular economy and make it indeed a better place for us all. And we are also supporting governments, well, actually all of you, employers and the workers, in your efforts to formulate the policies that actually will make it happen. Whether it is about an enabling environment, is it about promoting fundamental principles and rights that are at the core of a just and a employment-rich transition, we are there very much to work with you. And with that, thank you again for letting us opening the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ria. Put this here for our panelists. But yeah, thank you so much, Ria. It's fantastic to have our valued partners, the World Bank and the ILO, here with us today. And your words really put this session into perspective. And you've both highlighted the very real challenges that we all need to work together on if we're going to ensure that this circular economy that we're here for this whole week to advocate for really does put people first. So thank you very much. My name's Esther Goodwin-Brown, and I lead the Circular Jobs Initiative at Circular Economy Foundation, and it's my pleasure to be your moderator for this portion of the session. So we'll now hear from 4 people who are working in the circular economy today, making it real, making that thing that we talk about in meetings and on Miro, really reality on the ground. A policymaker, a trade union representative, a young entrepreneur, and a major company. And I'm so excited about this because there is so much talk about the future of work in the circular economy. But in reality, we know that it is already happening now. And so we hope that these people inspire you with their journeys, but also inspire you and help you think about how you can integrate people first as an objective more into your missions in your everyday. So with that, I'd like to welcome our speakers who will join us here on the stage. They'll each give a 5-minute intervention, and then we'll have a panel discussion. So first, Mayri Tiido. Welcome, Mayri. Mayri is a young entrepreneur, co-founder of Materjalivoog. I think I said that right. A business-to-business marketplace for industrial excess materials in Estonia. Welcome, Mayri. Next, we have Beatrice Cyiza. She's the Director General of Environment, climate change at the Ministry of Environment in Rwanda. Welcome, Beatrice. Then we have Karen Pflug. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Ingka Group, IKEA's largest retailer, operating in 30 countries around the world. Thank you for being here, Karen. And we have Vidyadhar Rane, the General Secretary of the Alang Ship Recycling and General Workers Association, and the Secretary of the Mumbai Port Trust Stock and General Employees Union in India. Thank you to you all. So, thank you so much for being here today. In view of time, because we want to hear from you all, I'm going to jump straight into your intervention. So I'll hand it straight over to you, Mayri, for your 5-minute intervention. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I actually have a question to all of you. You know, when we grow up, we're always asked, like, what do you want when you grow up? So my question is, raise your hand if you thought or you wanted to be like working in circular economy when you grew up. Exactly, me neither. Oh, there's somebody. Wow. Okay, that's true. That's true. This is really cool. Well, I did not know that that was an option when I grew up, so I wanted to be a cashier. I had very simple dreams. But look at me, here I am in this panel discussion working in circular economy. So as Esther said, that we have a B2B marketplace called Materjalivoog in Estonia that is aimed at manufacturers so they can, sell their excess materials or their stock and all these things, so those materials wouldn't end up in waste management directly. We started around 5 years ago, and we were part of a youth competition, so we had this like youth energy and power. We were like, we need this in the market, why is it not done yet? We had great visions. We wanted to put also, in that sense, people in the center, that the economy, in a way, also we know that circular economy, it has to become a bit more local, that there would be more symbiosis between businesses, that someone's waste, like IKEA has this like leftover things, and then a little entrepreneur is like, yay, this is exactly the material I need for my products. So this is the vision that we had. And also, of course, because Estonia is like a digital country, we had also the element of like digitizing the waste streams and the material flows, so we can actually also maybe for bigger volumes make, assessments like, hey, should we invest in some certain material type recycling, or should there be like a bigger factory being built? So we were very ambitious with our dreams and hopes. But you know how it went? I think you know how it went. So you're telling your vision to the people and they're looking at you, they're like, are you trying to import aliens? Because they're literally not understanding what you're saying. You're like really, you're like seeing so clearly that this solution has to exist at the market, where manufacturers have to take responsibility also for their waste streams, which they're not doing today that much because of the waste managers take their responsibility away, and they do not get it. There was a lot of resistance. Investors didn't believe in us. Even the people in Estonia who were working on circular economy were a bit like, not sure, like, is there actually money? Like, who pays for what? Who should, how do you even make money? And we're like, but if you look at the butterfly diagram that we all love here, right? So there are the loops, and there has to also be a loop for the manufacturing, that those things are circulating as well. So if we close down, then somebody else has to come and, pop up and do that business themselves. So why don't we just try to survive? But I must tell you that we focused on two things, because there was a lot of resistance, and you didn't find a lot of like, yay, let's do this, I'm gonna come along. So we focused on two things. We focused on yay sayers, so businesses that were actually interested. They were a bit also ahead of, the bell curve, being early in the topic of circular economy. So that eased up a lot of stress and mental health. And secondly, what we did, we went to municipalities because we really realized that they are also the enablers. They have contact with their local businesses, and they can also put us in contact with them and, you know, transform their region, for example, to be more circular, because we were pushing a lot that, hey, Netherlands is already doing a lot and we should be doing also a lot, so let's do a lot. And at the time when we were doing all this lobbying, we were not really seeing much impact, but now, like years later, we see the fruits getting ready because the local municipalities are writing their development plans and putting circular economy, industrial waste circulation, marketplace platforms into their plans. And we're seeing it in more and more places, and we're like, are they realizing that they actually need us? So this is something that we're now hoping that maybe the market will, like, at some point in the near future realize that, hey, we need this platform, and actually it will be like becoming more bigger and bigger. And if what I'm saying to you and you're listening to me and you're like, wow, municipalities also want to do like industrial waste circulation and stuff, that's really cool. Then if I'm being honest, then I think monthly basis, we're having our meeting and we're looking at each other and we're saying, should we close down? Like, is there even a point of making this? Because any rational capitalist would not do this business what we're doing now. It's not a linear economy growth business at this very moment as it is now. But as I said earlier, if we close down, then somebody else has to be like, I want to make this platform because this circle is missing in the market. So the vision and the mission that we have in the team, that this has to exist at the market, but the market doesn't know it yet, is so strong that we're like willing to operate the business that is not IKEA scale business, just to say an example. Not yet. So it is a bit, in that sense, really difficult. And I'm sure that a lot of you in the room also are facing these harsh realities where the current businesses or the stakeholders do not realize that some solutions are needed. I don't know how much time I have left, but I sum up, so to be kind in my time management, I just want to say that I don't think that none of us, or maybe some of you grew up thinking that I'm going to be a change maker, but I think that just being in this room, already we are all change makers. So as well, I think all of you could be here sitting on the stage with us. And I think I want to tell it out loud to myself and to all of you that let's persevere and hold on. And I think one day, this day that we are waiting for in our visions is also arriving. That's what I'm living for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayri, for sharing your challenges, but also your vision and your passion. I'll hand straight over to Karen.
Thank you. And yeah, I feel a little bit overwhelmed by how inspiring that story was. So thank you so much for sharing. And remember, every big company starts very small and entrepreneurial with a real sort of fighting spirit and a belief in what they want to do. Our company's 80 years old, and many people don't realize that IKEA is actually a privately run business where everything is invested either back into the organization or that goes to our philanthropic arm, the IKEA Foundation. So that means we can think long-term and think in generations as well. But that also doesn't mean the switch from a linear business to a circular one is easy. Even for our size and scale, is extremely challenging. But we know that our co-workers expect it. They definitely demand it of us. And for sure, our customers expect it. We did a GlobeScan survey last year, just at the end of last year, where we surveyed around the world in all our markets, 30,000 customers. 68% of them worry about climate change. And it's a similar number that worry about rising inequality as well. So we talked about the nexus of people and circular, but of course it's a nexus of people, circular and climate too. We know that 2/3 of those people expect big businesses and governments to act, and quite right too. For sure we need to act. And almost half of them don't do more themselves because they feel that it's too expensive and they don't know what to do. So we see IKEA's role as really being able to help them by making sustainability and sustainable options more affordable, and of course educating and sharing our knowledge of life at home as well. Our vision is to create a better everyday life for the many people, and that is under threat with the current situation we have about nature loss, biodiversity loss, and the rate of extraction of resources and so on as well. So we have 4 main ways that we try and drive our sustainability agenda, and that's an holistic agenda, including, of course, the human rights and the climate and circular. One of them is what we do in our own operations. One is our offer to our lovely customers around the world. Then we have an Ingka investments arm. We're really fortunate to have an investments arm that can really go big and scale up some of the work we want to do. And we also know we're one of the best known brands in the world, and we take that responsibility seriously. So we have an advocacy role to play as well. If we look at our own operations, I'm really proud to say that we've managed to halve our food waste in our restaurants. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, IKEA furniture company. But we're one of the biggest suppliers of food, one of the biggest restaurants in the world as well, in the top 5. Over 600 million people eat our food every year. So if we halve that food waste, we've made a huge impact to saving waste. In fact, it's around, since the baseline of 2017, around 30 million meals saved. We've done that by combining and innovating with a new startup. It was Winnow. They're used by a lot of other companies now as well, using AI technology, but also educating our co-workers so they could see exactly what waste was going into the bin every day, and not just the weight, because it's very easy to weigh it, but also to assess what type of food it was, and then adjust your behavior as a co-worker to make sure that you then make changes to how you plan the meals throughout the day and throughout the week. We're also on 79% of recycling for our overall operational waste. And on the climate agenda, we're on 93% renewable electricity for our stores from a retail point of view. If we look at our offer, bringing back to food again, we offer plant-based meals. So yes, there is a replacement for the plant dog if you want it. There's also plant balls instead of meatballs, the iconic Swedish meatballs. We aim by next year to have 50% plant-based meals. We're at 38% on average now. And that has been done by hopefully making food that's really desirable and tasty, of course. People have got to want to eat it. But we've also made it a lower price than the meat-based option. So that means it really helps to steer to people with thin wallets who want a good meal when they come to an IKEA store. In our products, the team in IKEA of Sweden are working hard to create design circularity principles right from the start so that a product can be repaired, reused, passed on, and of course switching to renewable and recycled materials. If we don't do that, as we touched on earlier, and it was mentioned this morning as well in the plenary, we will not hit our climate goals. So it's absolutely needed. And then if we also think what we're doing from a human point of view, I'm really proud to say, it's not really related to circular, but we have managed to get 50-50 gender split in all management positions across the world, wherever we operate. And that took a decade of trying hard to really get there. So we really have the humanistic point of view in our mind. With Ingka investments, just one example, we have recycling of mattresses. That started in the Netherlands, over 1 million mattresses per year. We can recycle, break it down into various materials that can then be purposefully used and sold on to other organisations. We're looking at expanding that, but we need policy change to help drive it. And we've also committed to 7.5 billion euros investment in renewable energy. We're at, by 2030, we're at 4 billion of that investment now as well. So our investment arm can really go big and scale up and drive this systemic change. When we look at advocacy, it's about doing panels like this today, trying to share our work and bring others along with us. We're also connected to the WCEF2024 circularity protocol, trying to look at consistent science-based ways of measuring circular, because we know, certainly in our business anyway, what gets measured gets done. So if we have a consistent scientific way of measuring, we'll get that consistency and the movement across businesses too. We're connected to WEF and we're connected to many other forums as well. And last year at the New York Climate Week, we hosted an Action Speaks Summit, because we know a lot of the solutions exist today, but we need to divert attention to it. We need to focus on the people side of it to make sure we're not leaving anybody behind, as we heard earlier as well. This needs to be a just and fair transition. So we also need to divert finances there as well. So I would say we definitely don't have all the answers, and we obviously need radical collaboration to get there. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Lots of things I'm keen to pull out already for the panel, but I'll hand over to Beatrice next.
Thank you so much. A lot is being done with the private sector already. But when it comes about government, I think we have a huge role to put in place an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. And Rwanda, we haven't been left behind in that. We're trying hard. We're trying hard to see if we can get enabling environment for our people to thrive in this area of circular economy. So with that, we started by developing our circular economy action plan and with the roadmap. And really the action plan, indicators, and M&E system that will help us to at least understand what is there, who are the stakeholders, who are working in the informal sector, and who is operating in the circular economy, by the way. So that's how we came up with the development of our National Circular Economy Action Plan. And with that, we've been able to realize that we have 4 main sectors which are at least potential for circular economy in Rwanda. And mainly water, which is really a scarce product that is being used across all sectors. And agriculture was one of them, with waste being also a major part of it. And lastly, construction. So with that, we said, what if we start trying to see what are the businesses in there and how can we help as a government to start maybe putting in place guidelines and helping different people, but also coming up with a little bit of accelerator and startup programs that can help. So we ended up having partners like Annabelle and others, where we started having guidelines in construction sector. And on another hand, we are working with Africa Circular Economy Alliance under the African World Bank, and we are trying to see the food system under the agriculture part of it. And we are working with Cyiza also to see if we can come up with at least a standalone fund under our green fund accelerator for purposely the circular economy. So we bring the small and medium enterprises, help them with technical assistance, and help them to craft well their businesses and apply for small grants, and also take their small grants, do all the work, all the paperwork that needs to get their business ready for grant, or for credit, and they submit their businesses now to the Rwanda Development Bank, where they get credit on a very small rate. So these are some work, but they have been able because of the policies we've set. They have been able to implement this because of the policies we have. And intentionally, we've put women and youth at the center of our plan. And why that? Well, from the Constitution, Rwanda, we have, our constitution said that we have to get 30% of women into the leadership position. And guess what? We have 60% of parliamentary women in our parliament in Rwanda. And also 50% of our cabinet members are women. So we couldn't get away from that. We couldn't really do away without women and youth and these other special groups. So with women, we really work closely with them to see how we can get, especially the informal sector, where we have a lot of women, to see if we can help them craft their businesses and help them really access credit. Because talking about circularity, I think it's in the DNAs of women, actually. Most of them, especially African women. For us, I think, well, on one way, maybe because we are not a developed country, the mindset of using, taking, using, and throwing is not yet there really for women. And you'll find women, even in the town, like me, using my mayonnaise jar for salt keeping. That's circular. I'm not using it and throwing it. And these are the ideas, these are the practices that we've seen for years and years. And when we're talking about circular economy, it's maybe formalizing what we've been using, what we've been doing. So with that, we intentionally brought women, and we believe that if we have women into this business, we'll have a quick change. Because of 13-point-something million of the population, 51.8% are women in Rwanda, women and girls. So which means if we really intentionally put the circular business into that population intentionally, we'll be targeting a half of population. So this is very key for us. This is very key for Rwanda. And with that, we believe that if we have a half of population working into circularity, we'll be able to induce the spirit of cleaner production, the spirit of repair, reuse, and that's really the basics. So those are the fundamentals. We are still working with other partners to see what is happening in the global north and how can we partner, how can we maybe leverage from their technology to see how we can start also not only building our communities, but also transferring the technology for them to also keep on thriving. So, well, those are the fundamentals, but at least the necessary to keep pushing the bar high. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Rane, over to you to provide the trade union perspective.
Thank you very much. And once again, namaskar to all of you. Namaskar is the way of greeting of Indians, and this namaskar is from all shipbreaking workers, those who are breaking the ship of whole world. I represent Alang, which is the largest shipbreaking yard in the world. Almost every country are building the ships, and for breaking it comes to Asia, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, China, and Turkey. And Alang is the largest yard in the world. Basically, I was a port worker. I worked for port 34 years, and my predecessors had fought for the port and dock workers. And when I took a retirement, early retirement to work in full-time trade unionist, I'm eligible for everything. Very good gratuity, pension scheme, free medical benefits, and everything. And when I elected as a office bearer of our union of port, which has completed 103 years, and port have completed 150 years, there was no role for me to work. I asked my president, who was a freedom fighter, what should I do? He said, why are you asking this question? Because every office bearer of port union was occupied and more enlightened experience than me. He said, go and work in unorganized sector. So that is what I started working in shipbreaking sector. And when I started working since 2004, it was horrible conditions. This sector has been described one of the most dangerous sector rather than the mining sector. That days, 2003, 2004, if the fatal accident took place in shipbreaking yards, I should not say this, but it was a fact, the bodies were thrown into the seas. And the meager amount was given to the relatives of these shipbreaking workers. When we were trying to talk to the employer or government, employer was saying this is not an industry. The industry has this industry has no status of industry. Then we fought for the giving status to the shipbreaking industry, and finally it has been included in the schedule of the minimum wages of the government, that this has been the industry. The organizing is one of the important issue. In cooperation of the Industry All Global Union, my colleague is here, Walton, and our FNV counterpart in Netherlands, FNV, we started a project. Literally, we started by giving the potable drinking water to the workers, in Mumbai workers. You will be surprised because we are sitting in Europe. So there was not a potable drinking water, clean potable drinking water available to the workers. And the union started it. Then we started giving free ambulance services, first aid. What has happened? This has given a lot of confidence to the workers. We started from Mumbai, that this union is continuously trying to visit our workplace and trying to give certain things. And this confidence, as workers have decided now to enroll a membership in the union. This is a success story, we can say, and now the shipbreaking industry, even these 3 UN organizations, ILO always was saying shipbreaking, IMO was saying ship recycling, then Basel was saying ship dismantling. So when I started since 2004, 2005, I said if I organize the workers from shipbreaking industry, it is a end of the life cycle of the ship. So that's end. When I came here, you are saying that it is not end. There is circular economy, big circular economy aside. So now, again, I'm thinking, I am now converted into senior citizen. So my next generation has to work hard for this circular economy area that we are working. We have started working. Intervention of the global federations like Industry All Global Union, and last year we are working together with the International Labour Organization. Kasper is very well here. He visited Alang shipbreaking yard, and when he saw the working conditions, the developed working conditions, the green yards, I think he was impressed, and he has decided to work with the local union, that is my union. And now we are working on the stakeholders engagement. The hazardous industry has been converted into green industry. More than 90% plots in Alang are green plots. At one time, Alang, a village in Gujarat, can break more than 122 big ships, tankers. This is the capacity. And if all the yards are occupied, the requirement of workers is around 35 to 40,000. And the downstream industry requirement is 100,000 workers. See, in that way, involvement of ILO is really helping us because we can call all the stakeholders, employer, government, various government department. Now, government is asking us that we should have some sort of mechanism for training to these shipbreaking workers. Promoting safety and health I think it is one of the area where we have achieved a good thing. And downstream industry, what we started in 2004, 2005, that is the situation in downstream industry at present. So we have to again start something, providing basic things to the downstream workers, giving them confidence, giving them voice at workplace. And then we can bring them at par with the ship breaking, which is one of the, I think, one of the upcoming industry in India. And government of India has given utmost importance to this industry. Government has declared in the budget about this industry. The Ministry of Shipping, Government of India, has come out with a regulation for this industry while ratifying the international convention known as Hong Kong Convention 2009, which is a convention of International Maritime Organization. The Government of India come out with the regulations and the rules. And in that way, now there is a voice at workplace to all these shipbreaking workers. There is a, we are aiming the collective bargaining with the government and other stakeholders. So again, we'll have to go to the downstream and start all these things. Because of the paucity of time, I will end here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and what an inspiring story of moving from an organised to an unorganised industry, or establishing it as an industry, and then all that you've achieved. So thank you. We'll dive into all of this a lot more. But now, yeah, we'll go into a panel, where I'm really happy where we can dive more into your experiences, but also hear from what you think we all need to be doing to really empowering more people like you working in the circular economy to scale up what they're doing and bring others along with them. So for my first question, I'll go to you, Beatrice. So you talked a little bit already about how the Circular Economy Action Plan in Rwanda has highlighted the role of women entrepreneurs. And I think when we spoke previously, you talked about the role of women in cultivating a culture of the circular economy in Rwanda. And I wondered if you could expand a little bit more on what you've learned from these female entrepreneurs and how you're integrating that into the action plan.
Thank you. Well, as I stated before, with female entrepreneurs, I think we've just started by bringing the informal sector of women and see how we can help them organize in 3 ways. One, capacity building on policies, understanding them, first of all, understanding what are the policies in place, and by the what are their rights. And secondly, also pairing them with other different sectors that are doing the same work. And thirdly, trying to see, can we get grants? Can we get at least small money for them to start building their businesses, although it's informal, but trying to see how they can bring it into the formal sector. So that's how we started with them. And some of them now have grown into an independent SMEs that are really working in this space and really taking the space. And here I'll say an example of an entrepreneur, an enterprise that we work together of young women. They were in the space of using the leftover of the fabrics, and they are taking those fabrics and may put some decoration materials out of them. So they work with the textile industry, they collect the materials, and from them they make decoration, the napkins and other items out of it, and they sell and they get their business out of it. So from now on, we are seeing them growing independently, and it's really something which we can learn from and say people can get from informal sector to growing into an SME and to a more organized sector. But also we're working in the waste collection sector, which is also having a lot of informal businesses, but particularly in the plastic collections. For your information, you know, Rwanda, we have banned the plastic use since 2008, and now we've gone as far as banning the single-use plastic 2018. So these are the laws that came with, well, burning, but also opportunity for some others to embrace the circularity area. So we are seeing more and more enterprise coming into the recycling, and we are seeing more recycling companies coming in, and we have those women collecting plastic bottles. So what we used to call waste is no longer waste, it's now a resource. And you can't find a single plastic bottle out there thrown. Even if you throw it, someone will collect it because it's a resource for someone. So, and those are those women that we put in cooperative, and they do collect and then take them to the recycling companies and get money out of it. And we are seeing more and more of those kind of businesses growing and thriving a little bit. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And Mayri, turning to you, one of the perspectives you bring to the panel today is of a a young entrepreneur in a circular world, as you said. And I wondered what 2 suggestions you have for other young entrepreneurs making their way in the circular economy, and particularly how they can bring people along with them.
I think the easy place to start, maybe not so easy, but the important place to start is like educating yourself to be proficient in circular economy. Because I think we're well beyond of slogans, and we're well beyond of also, or we should be well beyond of putting a question mark between circular economy and recycling. So we also need to look, into repair and reuse and all these reuse systems. So I think that's one of the key elements. And then the second one, I would say, would also be then getting some certain critical skills developed alongside, which goes along with systems thinking, critical thinking, future literacies. Future literacies, let me tell you, I do a lot of trainings in Estonia and also beyond, and future literacies is the ability to imagine an alternative future, to imagine a sustainable future. And then oftentimes with people, you're like, okay, so, imagine this alternative world where we do circular things, and people have their rational brain so strongly programmed to be like, that's not possible. Who's gonna pay for it? This is too expensive. They hit you 100 reasons why things can't be done. And it's just I'm like, but just imagine. I'm not forcing anything. I'm just asking your brain to practice this imagination exercise in a way. And that's the thing that is missing. And if we can't imagine, it's kind of what you said, that what we don't measure doesn't get done. So it's also, if we don't imagine an alternative future, also it doesn't get done. So I think we all also in the circular economy field should try to focus on imagining the futures and having that ability, systems thinking, and understanding in depth what actually circular economy would mean for people and for local communities and on a global scale as well.
Definitely. Getting beyond the buzzwords to what it really means in practice. Thank you. And Karen, I heard that the Ingka group has a group of young leaders that actually consults with your general management on a regular basis, which I'm very pleased to hear. How has having this group of leaders changed the way that you do things, and also particularly how you deliver on your circular economy strategy in all of the different markets that you serve?
Thank you. And I think I imagine a future where my job's obsolete, so that we no longer need chief sustainability officers or sustainability departments, because all the young leaders coming in and the external group that we have are so inspiring and inspired by working collectively. They're totally independent. They definitely hold us to account. Challenge us, quite rightly, we need to be challenged, but they bring different perspectives from around the world as well, which is really good for us to take in. We've used them with what we call our group management team, which is our senior leadership team. We've had them in front of our board as well, presenting, and also sort of being quite demanding and impatient. So it's a lot about speeding up when you talk to them. They really want us to, yes, you're doing a good job, but you need to speed up. We've been running what we call Leadership in a New Era training course that goes across our sort of top extended management team, which in a company the size of IKEA is several hundred people. And they were invited to present there as well to really showcase and bring the perspectives, again, from countries all over the world. And then on a practical level, where we've really included them to think more about our circular journey, we have what we call sustainable living shops. It's a subsection within almost all the IKEA stores around the world, where we look at how do we educate customers to make sure they're being more cost conscious, because it saves them money, which is brilliant as well, but by saving waste, and whether that's food waste or waste in general, saving water with water saving tap nozzles that we sell to convert your taps, and saving energy. The switch to LED bulbs, it seems a long time ago now, but it was not invented by IKEA, but we made it affordable for the masses. So it's things like that where we can bring them in. What's the next innovation that we can do and drive together? We also have circular hubs, and that's our as-is or bargain corners in every store where people can get something. It really helps our customers to be able to afford IKEA, even if they perhaps couldn't afford new furniture. So that really helps. And getting the young leaders there to look at how do we tailor that for different needs in different markets around the world. They take circularity extremely seriously. It's more about the sharing economy and using and so on, and not having to acquire new stuff all the time. So combining our circular hubs with buyback, which we've also been trialling for the last 2 or 3 years, where customers can bring their products back and then we sell it on to customers. They get a voucher and so on. So all of that, we're involving the young leaders to say, how do we do this better and how do we tailor it for different consumers around the world? Because the perception of second-hand and circular is very different in the different markets where we operate. So they help us understand that.
Great, thank you. It's good to hear. We've got impatience maybe as a circular
Yes.
skill, as well as systems thinking. That's a good one for the list.
Good summary.
Yeah. Mr. Rane, could you tell us what you think are the 2 most important ways that workers benefit from being as part of a union in the circular economy?
According to me, the most important thing is that there is a voice at workplace, workers' voice at workplace. That is the most important thing. And improved working conditions and increased bargaining power. This is the situation after 2 decades. So this is the important thing what I feel. It is defined as an industry. When I started in 2004, we were always giving some example to the workers. Hey, why are you working in this hazardous industry? You are exploited. Many people were saying, we don't know what is exploitation, but we are starving here. So exploitation is better than starvation. That is the worker's perspective. So in this way, now it has been decided or described as an industry by the government of India. And Social Security Act, including certain other international instruments, are applicable to this industry. Those who have met in fatal accident, their next kin are now eligible for the compensation from the ESIC and also the pension from the Provident Fund. I think these are certain things which are most important, which made changes in shipbreaking industry.
Thank you very much. And coming back to you, Karen, a recent Greenpeace report states that some materials from furniture are being sourced from old growth forests in different European countries. And I wondered what your thoughts on this report and what you think this also tells you about the circularity strategy and how you're trying to reduce raw material inputs.
Yeah. First of all, I would say we take the report very seriously, of course, and we definitely share Greenpeace's approach and desire and dedication to protect the world's forests. They're such an asset for so many reasons, and for people, as well as for nature and climate reasons. We have reviewed the report from an IKEA perspective, and I can say that we do disagree with the findings. And I can categorically say that in our IKEA products, we definitely don't have any old growth forests and any high conservation value forest wood in our products. We've reached out also to Greenpeace to have a really good discussion and engage with them and learn more about their findings, and then we can align together, because it's in everybody's best interest to look after this amazing, precious resource. And then I would also say, as you asked about the resources, yes, it's renewable. Yes, it makes amazing, beautiful furniture, and it can be used in all sorts of ways. It's such a fantastic material. But, of course, we need to use less of it. All of us need to use less resources. And I guess we have had that in our DNA for a long time, even before circularity was a thing or sustainability was a thing, when we created flat pack furniture so that we shipped things more efficiently, both to save costs and to save from a climate point of view. And we are committed to, even though wood is a renewable resource, to making sure that we also want to put more recycled wood in our products. So by 2030, our ambition is that 1/3 of our wood in our products will actually be recycled wood. We're at 17% now, so we've still got a way to go, but we've got some quite rapid innovations together with our suppliers to help us get there. And some of them are things like a new kitchen door that's coming in that's got 50% recycled wood. I'm really excited about more of that product. Right across our material offer, of course, we need to really look at how we get more recycled products in there. And then from an Ingka point of view, I mentioned the circular hub before, but one thing we also do is make sure we send out spare parts for people. And I think many of you have moved and you lose those little bits that put together the shelves for a Billy bookcase or something, and it's very frustrating. We don't want that product's life to end there. So we've sent out nearly 25 million spare parts per year to customers for free to be able to get the spare parts and keep products in use for longer. So that, combined with the buyback, I think really helps us. The biggest delight I get is when I hear stories of products having multiple lives or people have had them for 10, 15, 20 years. That's what really makes me smile in my role.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think it shows the journey that even large businesses on.
Yes.
So small to large across the spectrum. Coming back to you, Beatrice, Mr. Rane has picked up on some of the opportunities and challenges that come with working with an informal sector or organising a group of unorganised workers. And you spoke about the importance of the informal sector in the implementation of your Circular Economy Action Plan. I wondered if you could reflect a little bit more on the lessons from working with the informal sector, and maybe some of those opportunities and the challenges.
Well, working with the informal sector, especially for us in the West's collection, part of it, first of all, as the government, I said we are an enabling environment, enabling policies. So what we did was to, first of all, review the collection rules and regulations so that we can kind of ease their life when they are collecting, especially the women group, when they are collecting the waste, and put in place the collection centers for them to collect and to put those waste at least nearby center so that they can be able to have trucks coming from the center to the recycling places. So the lesson from there was, at least we've seen most of women and most of youth coming into this work because of that change. Because before it was very tiresome and collecting and taking to the way to the collection, to the recycling companies, there was a long way to go. But at least with the collection centers set, this has really eased their lives. And we are seeing more and more of them embracing this sector. But another one was capacity. As I said, capacity building was very key. And building their capacity meant to us seeing them as well coming with innovative ideas, especially the youth. They came with good, innovative ideas, presenting to us and presenting to our Rwanda Green Fund, which has a specific facility which is now working with young entrepreneurs to see how they can bring their green projects and how they can fund their green projects. So those are the things we are seeing, but thanks to the revision of what we have as regulations in terms of circularity.
Thank you so much. And we're almost out of time, so I'll just come for one last question to you, Mr. Rane, is what do you think the key reason is that upcycling is just as important as recycling to focus on as a trade union?
See, recycling, the requirement of one ship, big tanker or big ship, is, we can say, a requirement of one village. And when it comes to breaking, the major part of the ship is steel. And it goes to the re-rolling mills, furnishing mills, and it produces secondary steel. The Bangladesh economy is very much depend upon this secondary steel. So that is one part. Another part of furniture. The furniture which are coming from these ships are in large number. And if you could visit the Alang, there are more than 3,000 shops which are selling the furniture coming from the ships. So these are the areas where market is there. As regards the furniture, the Asian tendency particularly is that suppose a father bought chairs or some certain things and his educated son wanted to replace that chair, father and mother will not allow him to replace. Hey, this I have bought by taking loan, so it should be here in my house. If you want to go, you go out from my home, but that chair will be here. If the son bought a house and he don't want to keep that chairs in his house, so father will say, now he has thrown me out. So these are the mentality of normally the middle class mentality, and that's why this furniture is one of the very antique piece. Along you visit, they are making some innovative ideas for preserving this furniture. So that's why, without polluting the things, I think this is a very big industry. And as regards the recycling, there are certain dangers. So we have to take care of that dangers, as like we took in shipbreaking industry.
Yeah, carry the lessons on to another industry. Maybe an unlikely partnership I see here and some furniture. We'll sing Mayri's platform. We can do it all together. Well, thank you. That's all we've got time for. I would have loved to dive into all of it further, but maybe we've got some time afterwards for a chat amongst us. So thank you all again, and thank you very much, Ria, for your opening words. Now have the pleasure of welcoming Elisa Tonda to the stage. And Mayri, if you'd mind handing that microphone to Elisa, that'd be fantastic. Thank you so much. Elisa is the Chief of the Resources and Markets Branch of the UN Environment Programme, and we're thrilled to have her here to share some closing reflections. Thank you, Elisa.
Thank you, Esther. But prior to starting my reflections, a round of applause for this amazing panel. So I wanted to start the reflection thinking back at the first World Circular Economy Forum a few years back and thinking of the subject that we were discussing at that forum, where I feel that the core of our attention was very much on technicalities, on how to design products that are circular, how to change business practices for circularity. And maybe moving ahead, we have been able to think through how we can make circular economy work for the economy, maybe for the environment. But I think this panel has helped us see that there's one major question on which we should really concentrate our attention now, is how to make circular economy work for people. And Ria, Casper, Namita, and Esther, you have told us that there's a lot that we still need to discover, to measure, to understand, to model, to get really the facts and figures in front of us. But we are also aware that things are in motion, are evolving, there's circular economy rolling out. And Beatrice, you used a word that really captured my attention, which is being intentional. So we can start deepening our understanding of how to make circular economy work for people if we are intentional in putting people, and you flagged specifically women and youth, at the center of circular economy strategies. And you've helped us see what it means on a number of aspects and issues. What are the implications around skills? What are the implications around job in the informal sector that are so critical to build circularity? What it means for working conditions? What it means for the content of products that have resources and at times chemicals that are circling back into the economy? What it means for the workers close to these? What it means for the users? Obviously, there's a lot that we still have to experiment, and your experiences are giving us wonderful inspiration of the direction. And on the slide on screen, you will see a number of initiatives that are really very much working with partners on that dimension: the Jobs in the Circular Economy Initiative, the Global Opportunities for SDGs, the Green Job for Youth Pact, the Partnership for Accelerating the Green Economy. All of these initiatives are bringing us together with all of you to test and to learn how we can make circular economy work better and better for people. But there's one message that I really liked from the panel discussion and that I want to use as conclusion, which is that we have a lot of allies to make it work. So it started by the reference to the fact that youth are allies, but you also added that co-workers expect it from us, customers, clients, ourselves as consumers are expecting it. So I think it's well time for us to make the magic of ensuring that circular economy work for the environment, for the economy, and for people. Thank you very much.